So Danny's case is really interesting. He came in about 7 years ago. He was a figure skater trying to get on the U.S. skate team. And he came in, and when he rotated, he kept spinning. And so he was like, my career is over. I don't know what to do. He came in, he was pretty desperate at that point. He's like, I don't know what's wrong with me. Nobody knows what's wrong with me. And so we took him in, we did some upper cervical x-rays, and we found that his atlas, it was off, and he was all misaligned. And so we started treating him with upper cervical specific chiropractic, and it resulted. And he started getting back into it, and he started competing, and he's been competing for the last 7 years. It only took about 3 months to get him back on track, which was quite remarkable. And ever since then, he's just been progressively getting better and better. It's been amazing to see the progress with him, but he now just comes in for regular maintenance adjustments and things, and his game or his ability to skate has greatly increased, and his confidence in that. So it's been kind of life-changing for him.
So I do Olympic figure skating, pairs specifically, and I'm also a psychotherapist. And I've been skating for 25 years now, almost 25 years, because I'm 29. Damn. I just got a new partnership too. My last partnership didn't work out Olympic years, so we're kind of out of this Olympic cycle. And so I got a new partner we're going to try for 2030, so that'd be good. Yeah, so around 2018, I had like a concussive event on the ice where I fell on a jump and kind of smacked my head back. I didn't hit the ice, but it was a whiplash. And I had just these strange symptoms going on for a bit, right? Like, I was clear from a concussion standpoint. All the doctors were like, yeah, he's good to go, right? But I still had these really peculiar symptoms. And it turns out I had a lot of kind of upper cervical tension, occipital nerve tension, atlas misalignment. And the symptoms were really strange. Again, like probably the strangest one was this pulling sensation behind my eyes, and just a lot of like headache stuff, vertigo, dizziness. My neck was super weak. I couldn't hold it up for very long. I remember when Dr. Grammer first saw me and pushed down on my neck, it was not a pleasant moment. I had to compete throughout the entire season like that, but wondering what was wrong with me. We still did well, but it was so nebulous at the time because I had no idea what was going on. And so I started seeing Dr. Grammer in like March of 2019, I want to say. And we, did an x-ray, saw this severe kyphosis in my upper cervical spine, atlas joint completely out of alignment, a lot of muscular tension, a lot of weakness, thoracic spine, all of it was just jacked. And so we did the functional movement training and then atlas adjustments twice a week at the time, and then tapered it down eventually, but the symptoms started to improve pretty quickly. Pretty much after the first couple of adjustments, I was able to skate again. I still had some vertigo, but I was able to get back on the ice, which was huge for me. So long process overall, but super cool. I had a large proclivity towards anxiety at that time period. I was really worried about it. I had no idea what was going on with me. I want to honestly thank Dr. Arter and Dr. Grammer because they were so patient with me. It wasn't a revolving door with the appointments. It was like they really sat with me and explored some of these anxieties I had, because even throughout the adjustment process, there were some weird symptoms still going on and new things that were popping up. My vestibular system has to be in peak condition for skating. And you can tell you won't be able to do one thing. You'll turn and you'll feel it. So a lot of stuff like that. A lot of, like I said, that eye pulling was really bad too. I would go do an element on the ice and feel that pull behind my eyes, and it would kind of cause some vertigo too. So I think it's really important because I think with concussive events in general, the upper cervical spine can be overlooked, right? And obviously it takes more force than, anytime you have a concussive event, you're probably going to have upper cervical problems too. I think that's overlooked. And so I think it's really important. And I think what I learned here is to take care of my thoracic spine, my neck strength, because all of that plays a role in vertigo, right? Even if you have weakness in those little tiny muscles in your neck, that can cause vertigo in itself. So I think it's really important to keep that strong. I started coming to Thrive in March of 2019, and I believe I went back to the ice a couple weeks after that, so probably closer to April of 2019. So it was really a short span. I started to feel better pretty quickly, doing the upper cervical adjustments, doing the Denner roll, that I still use to this day. So all of these tools kind of got me back really quickly. I think those muscles started to wake up a bit, and so some of the vertigo started to dissipate a bit. So. Well, I think one thing I learned at Thrive is that mobility is super important, right? So I think since then I've just been super hyper-focused, almost in a good way, on my mobility and my neck strength. And I continue to do the Denner roll, which is this little foam tool that you use to restore your lumbar or your upper cervical curve. And so that's been really helpful. I still do neck mobility. I roll it out. I just, basic maintenance stuff. Not like I'm injured anymore, but stuff just to make sure. Because, I mean, since I've been at Thrive, I've taken hits on the ice. I've had falls, but none of them have done anything because I have this extra like bubble and safeguard of the Atlas adjustments, and then also these tools that I've learned. And my neck's so much stronger now, my upper back's so much stronger now to where I can take hits. And so I think that's really important. So the maintenance is just something that's included in my daily routine anyways. I mean, I think body work in general is super paramount for any athlete, and I think maintenance also paramount, but with head and neck stuff, I think it's really important too, because once you've had one concussion, obviously the likelihood of another is increased, but on top of that, I think your neck is kind of the buffer that you need it to stay strong and malleable so that you don't have further events. And I think people overlook that. I see a lot of skaters that have had like one concussion and then they start having repeated concussions, but you can tell they don't take care of their neck. It's kind of like a Wu-Tang Clan, you gotta protect your neck, right? But it's true, I mean, you really do. And so I do like a lot of chin tucks, I do, these adjustments and the dinner roll, and I think all of that has made it so I can still take hits. Because I think if I had never gone here, I had one hit, I think that'd be it, right? So I think it's really important for athletes to just maintain their bodies in general, do body work, go to chiropractic, get massage, stuff like that. I think just when I had that first Atlas adjustment and it was locked in place, I was like, ooh, this feels really nice. And I think that, and then, I started to be able to go on the ice again. I was like, yeah, something's working here. So that was really cool. And they did other, cranial adjustments like the sphenoid. That was a fun one. I noticed like my breathing was better after that. So that bone is connected, right, to your sinuses.
We were in care quite a bit before we started doing any of those other things, because it was like,
yeah,
you were just focusing on the vertigo, back on the ice and comfortable. But then the eye pulling was the second thing. And
that's what
was for the
yeah, like there was like the dura, and everything was really tight. I think we did an Atlas adjustment pretty quickly though, pretty soon after the intake, right after we did the x-ray, did the initial intake, and then we did the dinner roll, which I pretty much hopped on pretty quickly. And so all of it, I guess, amalgamated into just really quick progress, because I was a bit obsessive of it. I was like, I need this to be gone, so I'm going to do all these techniques and tools and get myself back to performing. But I want to say like by the summer, June at least, I was competing again and doing all the spins and jumps. I might have had a tiny bit of vertigo still, but I'd say for the most part I was at like 98% by June. So it was pretty quick. I mean, I remember when we started adjusting the sphenoid and doing other cranial work, there were some other little things, like I started getting this really bad forehead tension, I think because the sphenoid was so off, and then the dura I had to adjust. So some weird things in the middle, but nothing that was catastrophic. And I was still able to skate and perform. Like there's an element called a twist where I throw the girl up, catch her. There were times where I'd catch her and she'd kind of elbow me, and initially it would cause a bit of a panic reaction, like, oh my god, am I going to hurt myself again? But for the most part, everything was fine, and I still had him to, continue the maintenance, so it was fine. But yeah, little setbacks here and there, little falls here and there, but nothing that re-injured. I think it's helped me to learn more about just anatomy and being an athlete. I think that's helped me because I've incorporated that not only into like the neck terminology, but everything, and that's helped me grow as an athlete and maintain other parts of my body when I've been injured, learning more about it, what causes an imbalance here, what causes an imbalance there. So I think Thrive was a bit of like the culprit for that, for me taking care of my body more, focusing on mobility, and being able to carry that into future scenarios where I might have an injury or have some sort of fall that causes anxiety. Oh, the other thing I wanted to mention too is since I started going to Thrive and working on all this upper cervical stuff, I've noticed my executive functions a little better, right? There's more blood flow obviously to the brain when you increase that curve in your neck, and I just feel like I think a little bit better, I sleep better. So there's other stuff too that's in the mix, not just sport. I think everybody could benefit from Thrive, especially if you've had like a car accident. I think all athletes could benefit from Thrive. I don't think there's anybody that wouldn't benefit.